take an inventory of all the people that you've currently worked with and identify who you've enjoyed working with the most. That is your new target market. The more passion you have around that group of people, the easier the content's going to be, the easier it's going to be to attract the right people, and the more focus you can get on all your business efforts.
Hi, I'm Adrian M. White, and with over a decade of entrepreneurship experience and launching 4 successful businesses, I know what it takes to grow your business online and live a more purpose-filled life doing the work that you most enjoy. Branding Convert is your go-to resource for branding, marketing, and entrepreneurship advice for service-based business owners looking to scale their business to 6 figures a year. This is the Branding Convert with Adrian M. White podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly entrepreneur spotlight for the Branding Convert with Adrian M. White podcast. I'm so excited today. I have fitness extraordinaire Ariana Stowe. Ariana is a ISSA elite trainer with certifications in personal training, nutrition, genetic-based fitness coaching, and transformation specialist. She specializes in helping high-achieving women who have disciplines in business, but not with fitness, to lose weight and build curves in her 90-day online coaching program. In 2020, she was featured in Strong Fitness magazine as a woman to watch and successfully led a live online fitness event for Juneteenth on their social media platforms. So let us bring Ariana to the stage. Ariana, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, so happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I really appreciate you joining. Quick little background. Ariana, I actually hired Ariana for my trainer as my trainer a few months ago. And the reason that I hired her is not only did she have like a million amazing reviews. So when I was asking like who do people recommend, there were multiple people from all over that were like, hire Ariana, do Ariana. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me find out more about this girl. But in addition to that, she had an amazing website.
Thank you.
And in her website, she had really, really good copywriting that was specific to career-driven women or working with career-driven women.
Mhm.
So that really, it resonated great with me. And yes, that's why I hired her. And I also, not only did I hire her, but she also is a really, really great trainer and has been doing this for a while. She is
Mm.
growing her 6-figure business. And yes, so I have her here today. And Ariana, so let's start off. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you even get into like the health and fitness industry?
Yeah. So one quick thing, my name is pronounced Ariana, so it's a
All right.
long Ariana there.
Sorry about that.
But no, it's totally fine. But how did I get started? So what's really interesting about my story is I was really fit growing up, right? I played sports. I played volleyball, basketball, I ran track. At one point, I did all 3 of those. Eventually pivoted to basketball and played through college, right? And so as I was finishing college, I ended up quitting basketball my senior year. I was like, I'm done. I'm burnt out. I just want to focus on studying and graduating. And I had an internship. I just had a lot going on. I was ready to kind of move on with life. And I actually ended up putting on 40 pounds that year. So I left college overweight, right? Some people put on weight at the beginning of college and like kind of figured it out. I was like leaving college out of shape, overweight, and really didn't recognize my body and who I was. And so, excuse me. And so, what that led to was me really soul searching and figuring out what does my identity look like outside of an athlete, number one. And as like a working professional, how do I take care of myself? And so I did all the things, right? I hired a trainer. I used to go to boot camp classes. I did boxing. What else did I do? I did a million and one things, right? I did anything and everything. I also trained for a half marathon, literally all at the same time. 10 for 10 would not recommend. But I started my own fitness journey at 22, 23 years old. I was like, I got to figure this out. I'm used to being a certain way. And where I was at, I didn't know who that was. And so, in this process of me losing weight, I ended up losing about 35 of those 40 pounds in 4 months, y'all, which was really intense. But I kind of got my confidence back. And I was like, you know what? Maybe other women that I went to college with, at least, right, that might want to know kind of how I did this and could use some guidance. And so, as I was searching for the how, I got introduced to Beachbody coaching programs and Beachbody, home workout, Shanti, Insanity, 21 Day Fit Fix. Like people know those programs that are all online. I did some of those in my journey, which helped me to lose the weight. I started creating online coaching groups and being an affiliate for that company. Did that for 4 years prior to the pandemic. So this was like late 2018. So many things happened in between then career wise, but I was kind of at a crossroads where I felt like I was called to do more and that my impact was being stifled, right? I was still serving the community. I was working in a STEM program, working with inner city Baltimore youth, but I wasn't really fulfilled, right? It was kind of just
Mhm.
like I was going through the motions, right? And actually wasn't mental health wise doing okay in that. So I was like, you know what? At a minimum, let me stop doing this because I'm not happy and let's go figure out what the next thing is. And I was like, well, people know me for fitness. So let's just do fitness full time as a business. I had no idea what that looked like. But here I am 4 years later. So I've been full time since 2019. My business has survived a pandemic and we are here thriving now. So that's kind of how I got here. So it was a desire to help women maybe lose some weight like I did in college, and it has turned into something way bigger than I could have ever imagined. But yeah, that's where we are.
Awesome, awesome. I can really relate to, when you were talking about how you were in a job and you're just like not feeling passionate about it at all, like probably
Hmm.
counting down until you get off. Um,
Hmm.
there's so many people that are dealing with that every single day. So
Hmm.
it's very admirable of you to kind of push through that to really figure out, where your calling was and what's going to fulfill you more. I love that.
Hmm. Thank you.
No problem. So, okay, so you got into the fitness business. When you first got into it, were you doing it full time, or how long did it take for you to, get to the point where you were training full time?
Yep. So because I started online coaching back in 2014 with the programs, that was already like my part-time hustle. So I was doing that part-time for 5 years and then transitioned like cold turkey full-time. So I literally left my corporate job. My final day was December 31, January 1st. I was like full-time entrepreneur. Actually be making full-time income probably took about like till the end of the first year, maybe like the first 6 to 8 months in before I could kind of sustain that. But yeah, I just transitioned right out of it. I had already been doing it part-time. I was like ready to go full-time with the business.
Did you take any particular steps to kind of prepare yourself for full-time entrepreneurship before you made the jump?
um so it's funny that you mentioned that. So at a minimum, I had about a 3-month emergency fund. So I was like, at least let me give myself a financial cushion. An important step that was not corrected to entrepreneurship, but it helped a lot, is that I had already moved back home. So I moved with my parents at the end of 2018 when my lease was up where I was living. And so that drove down my expenses, right? It was like the car, the gas, groceries. I mean, things got really, really lean and I didn't have a lot of expenses so that I could kind of let things flourish and grow, which was super great. But that wasn't really in preparation. It just was really good that I was already, in that space when I ended up transitioning. I had hired up until that point 2 business coaches. So one was more of like a mentoring business role, and she really just gave me insight onto what was kind of potentially on the horizon, just being an entrepreneur. What were some things that she learned, different decisions that she would make, and then ultimately what industry I should kind of start in. And we both kind of landed on fitness. And then I
Mhm.
had hired a second business coach that could kind of make the online entrepreneurship world make a little bit more sense in terms of creating content and developing your brand. And that was like my first branding shoot and all those things that happened at the end of 2018. And so I had like fresh photos and like really exciting energy going into 2019. But those are kind of the steps that I had taken to kind of get me there. But I think the most important step, honestly, Adrian, was that like I just had a willingness to go against the grain, right? I had kind of felt like quick backstory. I originally thought I was going to become an attorney. So my entire like schooling from like middle high school and beyond was focused on pre-law and like going to law school. And once I realized after working with attorneys in a private firm that I wasn't quite sure if that was the best move for me at that age and that time of my life, that was the dream that I had always had. And so now that that's no longer there, I was much more open to the possibility of what my life could become. And so because of that, I think deciding that I wasn't happy and being able to move forward was really like all the preparation that I needed mentally. And then all the other little pieces I kind of just added because I thought that they would be helpful as well.
Awesome.
Hmm.
How did you the business coaching piece that you said, I've posted a video and a podcast episode about the benefits of hiring a business coach. I definitely am a proponent of it, and I love that you mentioned, that you used a business coach to kind of
Hmm.
get you where you needed to be.
Yeah.
Two questions for you from that. How did you even know that you needed a business coach, or that a business coach would um, resolve the issues or the gaps that you felt like you had? And then how did you find the right coach for you?
Great questions. So, the how did I know that I needed a business coach? I would say my main motivation for that was the fact that I didn't know anyone in my immediate family or circle that owned a business. So, I needed to seek out expertise because I wasn't going to be able to get that guidance anywhere else, right? My
Mhm.
closest peers, my closest family, my confidants, like nobody had kind of gone that route because this was back in 2013, 2014. And like I had, well, this is actually technically 2018, but I had worked with a business coach, technically with the company I was with Beachbody, because it's like a network marketing type structure, but they weren't independent. Like they were like contractors underneath the bigger thing. And so I was like, all right, I need to like not stay in this model and seek outside resources, someone that's actually built something from the ground up on their own. So that's kind of like what motivated me to seek out the person. And honestly, in terms of how I determine who a good fit was, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I went with someone that I felt as though had the life that I was trying to aspire to get to, and also someone that had like a faith kind of Christian background that was important to me. A Black woman was important to me because I didn't know any other business owners. And then someone that I ultimately had already been getting value from. If I already been getting value from your content, I probably would get value from your coaching, right? So those
Mhm.
are some things that I thought about when it came to choosing a coach. And then the second business coach, eventually my pillars of my business, I've started with fitness. Later down, I added finance and then faith and fashion, or like it's like the F thing, right? Those are all the brands that I want to kind of get into. But also, there's this like big thing, which is travel. And this particular business coach was a travel influencer, like lifestyle influencer at the time. And so I knew that I wanted to incorporate a little bit of that into my brand, but I was like, I don't know what that looks like. So let me go to the expert to see what that fit could look like down the line.
Nice.
Hmm.
What are some things that you learned from the business coach in the process? Because on your website, your copy was really great. I know you talked about having like a branding um, photo shoot for it. So, were those things that you learned or developed through your business coach?
Yeah, so I guess contextually I hired another business coach. So like I literally had so many coaches in the first 2 years of my business. Y'all do not want to see my P&L statement from those years, but which is a profit and loss if y'all don't know. But uh I hired another business coach. So I hired people to get me to entrepreneurship before I started, right? Get me through the door, nurture, this is what you need to do, this is how it needs to be done. Here's some things to think about when it comes to the overall business, your marketing, your pitches, like all that kind of stuff, right? There was like the business stuff. Then once I got in it, I realized I don't know how to price what I'm offering. Like I don't even know, like the kind of money that I'm making isn't going to be the money that sustains me. I feel like I'm missing something here, and that's when I hired a fitness business coach. And that coach is the one that helped me to basically take my idea, turn it into a program that had a lot more substance, so
Mhm.
that the value of my, at the time, 4 to 5 years of experience was packaged in a way that could relate to the market that I was trying to reach. And so that business coach in particular taught me how to market myself online. She taught me how to, like, the tangibles, how to price the offer, how to add different elements to the program, how to actually conduct a sales call, what questions to ask on the sales call, how to go from a discovery to a close in the same call, which is a huge skill set, y'all, which to this day I still use. And and also how to distribute content online. So I had the branding photos, which I literally got taken by one coach, but then this other coach helped me to actually create and position the content in a way that was going to draw people in. So what I love about my coaching journey as a student is that each coach really built on one another, right? The
Mhm.
first coach basically empowered me to get started. The second coach gave me the high level overview of how to run the business. And then the third coach gave me the tangible skill set of what to do in my business to stay profitable.
Very cool.
Mhm.
So for all those 3 coaches, were those all people that you were following already?
All but one. So the third coach, I mean, she literally got me, from what I know, as part of her lead gen strategies, which is lead generation. Like, she literally put up a post. It was very like vague in nature, but it basically just said like, "Do you want to make money as an online fitness coach and you don't know how to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's me. Like, I don't know how. Like, I don't, I don't know what to do." Because at the time I was running a hybrid business, had clients in person, but I really saw myself being able to help a lot more people at scale if I could
Mhm.
somehow develop an online program. And so I literally reached out in her DMs. I went to her directly, said, "Hey, we'd love to get more information." We jumped on a discovery call. And what's really beautiful about that call that I always remember is that I didn't necessarily have the full investment. I could put down what I could as a deposit. And she was like, "I'll give you 3 days to kind of come back. Otherwise we'll just have to table this and move on." I was able to get this loan, and it was like this whole thing. And that really showed her just how willing I was to put in the work to get to where I wanted to go. And then fast forward maybe 2 months into her program, which was like a 90-day program, I like closed my first sale. So I went from a $20 a month subscription thing to like a $1,400 package, like all in one go. And my mind was like completely blown. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for the level of expertise that she had to offer, that she was able to input into that business. So it was interesting because, again, each coach built on top of one another, but it's the one that I didn't have the closest relationship to or had been following that ultimately kind of made the most impact at that time.
Incredible.
Thank
Love it,
you.
love
Thank you.
it. So, do you have any tips, just to the audience on how they can find their, perfect business coach, and how much should they expect to spend, on business coaching, or invest is probably the better word.
How to find the perfect coach and how much to invest. So, when it comes to finding the perfect coach, there has to be some point of alignment, right? Because depending on the way that their program is structured, you're going to have some interface with that coach, whether it's like a group coaching call or one on one or whatever. So, what I mean is, in other words, you want to like who it is that you're hiring, right?
Hmm.
Number one, there needs to be some type of an alignment point where you feel as though what they're sharing can really be helpful. Don't be afraid when you are looking for a business coach to interview, right? I At the time, with the high ticket fitness space in particular, I didn't even know what that was. So she happened to be the one and only person I ever really looked into. And it ended up being a really good fit. But because the coaching industry is really expansive now, you might have a few more options at your disposal. So don't be afraid to date around a little bit, right? Like, get a clear understanding of the person, their values, the type of program that they run. Like, are you a group coaching program? Do you need more high touch? Kind of where are you at in the middle? And ultimately, what do you want to get out of that experience? I feel like if you go into it knowing what you want to get out of, like, okay, I'm at this skill set point, I now need X, Y, and Z. That'll help you to determine whether or not the coach and what they offer is a good fit. And also, don't be afraid to ask, like, if there's something beyond what they're currently offering. So it's like, hey, you kind of have this entry level program, but I think a more intermediate. Is there anything that's a good fit that you currently offer? If it's yay or nay, hopefully, if it's a nay, they'll be able to refer you out to someone else, right? So don't always feel stuck to go with a coach just because they have all these referrals and all these good stuff if it's not a good fit for what you need for your business.
Mhm.
And then the second part of your question was
Like, how much to invest? How
how
do
much
they
to
figure
invest.
out, like, oh, this is like crazy? Or, a lot of people get sticker shocked, especially with coaching.
Right. So pricing has really changed.
I'm sure you're enjoying this episode, but I wanted to quickly pop in to let you know about how you can grow your service based business to six figures a year today by learning how to better market it online. Join my exclusive membership community, Marketing Maintenance, for as little as $49 a month and learn how to develop and implement effective online marketing strategies that bring in more leads while also keeping your WordPress website protected and up to date. This program includes website updates, site maintenance, monthly marketing trainings, one on one marketing strategy meetings, and marketing deliverable creation. Join today at marketingandmaintenance.com.
Has really changed since I hired my coach. The same program that I enrolled in, she doubled a year later, right? And she was well within her right, had the testimonials to go with it, whatever. So I would say, I would think on the low end, anywhere between like 3,500 to 5,000 should not be a sticker shock because I feel like that's pretty standard. But I would almost want to make sure that it came with something of value. Well, I'll give an example of this. I hired another business coach. I've hired two more since the first three in years 2, 3, and 4, right?
Mhm.
And as the price points went up, so did quote unquote the amenities and the value of the offer, like an in-person retreat, you know, instead of 3 months support, it was 6 months, discount going forward. One coach I hired, I got like a free photo shoot, and he's like a fitness photographer. So like I think pricing can be looked in a couple of different ways versus like this is too much that I should be paying for. Is this coach worth it? It's more so like what am I really getting from this experience as a total value proposition? And then
Mhm.
that'll help you to be able to, I think, to stomach the investment a little bit more. But I'll be honest, y'all, the first 2 years, payment plans were my best friend. Like I was
Mhm.
always on somebody's payment plan, doing somebody's monthly, whatever installment. So don't be afraid to ask for that option either, just so that you can get what you need without having price to be a reason why you don't move forward. So I think that's a good number though. Anywhere between 3,500, depending on your industry, up to 5K. It can be beyond $5,000, but again, it really just depends on where you're at in your business. If you're like beginner, bare bones, or you're somewhere intermediate, that's a different situation. If because you might not even have the funds to invest that into that type of a program. But if
Yeah.
you're trying to scale from 6 to 7 figures, whatever the program costs, you're going to 3 to 4x that investment probably in the amount of time that you're working with that coach. And so it's not always justified on the front end, like it's not always rational, but it's
Yeah.
like it's hard for us to like see beyond our current situation, and that's really the value of a coach.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. I have had a lot of prospect calls with a lot of different people, and my one-on-one services would, I guess, basically be considered premium pricing too. And everything is about the value that you're getting.
Mhm.
So I just recommend, like, don't the price of something, like, yes, you as a person and you living your life and paying for something is different than a business, investing in something. So you as a business should be a lot more willing to invest in it, because if you have someone really good, you get the return back. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think what you said is really great, and even more like the 3,500 to 5,000, I feel like is like a starting price or
Mhm.
whatever. Like even if it's more than that, I definitely have invested. Like I've had three business coaches now. And my very first coach, I invested closer to almost 10,000, but
Mhm.
She was a multimillionaire. She was a Black woman, and her messaging was really resonating with me. And after going through her program, I think it was worth every penny. Like, it's
Yeah.
dramatically changed my business. So, yeah, I love what you said about that. And I think investing in business coach is really, really important.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in addition to, like you were saying, you got a loan, and some other things to be able to afford it. I know for me, I couldn't afford it either, but I got on a payment plan and I had a business credit card, and I had just went full time with the business. So I think that the limit of it was almost the exact price of her
Mhm.
program. And so I was
Yep.
like, okay, like, I'm gonna make this back. Let me do
Yep.
it.
Yep. Yep. There
Like,
you go. There you go. Like,
yeah.
it's
So,
scary, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to just get ahead of the curve and know
mhm,
exactly what you need to do without having to go through that struggle.
yeah.
Because time really isn't on your side as a business owner. You're always fighting against the time to get done whatever it is that you're working towards, and the time to serve your clients, and the time to take care of yourself. So that time is really, really precious.
Mhm.
And if you can hire someone that's going to help you to get in front of that with the right tools, then the price is really immeasurable.
Definitely, definitely.
Hmm.
Okay, so tell me a little bit now about what your journey has been since those 4 years of you going full time, and some of the current projects and things that you're working on.
Yep. So when I started the company back in 2019, I was a hybrid fitness coach, online and in person. What was really interesting is my in person clientele started to take off. Um, and outside of the company that I was actually contracted with at the time to be their trainer. And so I quickly like maxed out on those clients. And then I started taking more people online and had this whole thing going on, right? Everything was great. Had two sources of income coming in, everything was cool.
Hmm.
Pandemic happens, everything is not cool because they shut the gyms down. And, a lot of trainers just, I mean, we were completely wiped out, right? If you had a training facility, right, we actually took clients in, you were completely out of the game
With the pandemic.
with the pandemic, right? And so, right before the pandemic, I had just gone to a fitness conference and joined a mastermind program, y'all. That was like 12K. And we're trying to do this mastermind thing. There's a whole like there's just so many things going on. So 2020 was really, really intense for me as a business because a lot of people needed help and were more open to it all of a sudden with online training.
Hmm.
And so at the height of my business that year, at one point, I was working with 15 or 16 one-on-one clients and just really
Wow.
feeling extremely overwhelmed, right?
Yeah,
Y'all
that's
could,
like intense. 15 or
very
something.
intense. It was because, and Adrian knows from experience the kind of work that we do. You can only imagine what that output was like for me, emotionally, mentally, let alone physically, right? And so now to back up a little bit, at the end of 2019, I actually experienced extreme burnout and ended up crashing my car.
Mm,
And I like fell asleep at the wheel and ran into somebody. It was just very dramatic and traumatic. Literally, the light in front of my house, like the light that I could have turned the street and been home had I not done that. And so I was already like checked out of in-person training anyway, right? Because I was like, the model that I'm doing doesn't really match the lifestyle that I want to have. And I'm a person that'll just I go 0 to 100. There's no in between. It's either like I'm not doing it or I'm like all in and doing too much, right?
mhm,
So then pandemic forced me to go full online, which opened up my time. Because I mean, I went from seeing 8 clients a day, virtual sessions, things in the evenings, whatever it was, to like completely cutting that in half. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do now? What's my next act? And starting in the industry back in 2014, it'll be 10 years, 2 years from now, I was like, okay, what could my life look like outside of fitness? And like for me coming into it, fitness was the thing that people knew me for. I was very great at it. I love the work that I do. I love impacting the lives of women. To date, my best transformation, when client spent a year work with me and lost 60 pounds, like totally transformed her whole life. And so it was like, I kind of felt like I'd reached my peak. I'm looking over at my vision board and I'm glancing over because it's right here behind my door. And I'm like, we've checked off a lot of things here. So what's that next act look like? And then would we be open to kind of dropping the identity of fitness, right? Which is a pretty big deal as a business owner to pivot into something else. And so, as Grace would have it, my financial advisor, who I hired in 2019, reached out to me early 2021, told me that they were hiring in the DC office, asked if I'd be interested. And I said, you know what? You called me on a good day because I say no to a lot of opportunities, but this one catches my attention. And I think the thing for me, Adrian, was like, I thought of all the women that could never afford my services and they needed it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the root of that obviously is a lack of finances, discretionary income, but why? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only why, but like it felt like it was disproportionately affecting more Black and brown women that clearly need the extra income to live a much better lifestyle, but for some reason they didn't have it. So I was like, you know what? If I became an expert in this space, like maybe we could come back and address that root of how and why that even happened in the first place. And so um, now the really funny part about this story is I went through the whole interview process from about February through the end of March. They gave a decision. They're like, we love to work with you and have you a part of the team. And I said, okay, cool. I'm headed to Mexico for a wedding and I'll be in touch when I get back. Right. I just kind of left it at that. Now, I had actually booked a one-way ticket. So I didn't know when I was coming back. And I had no plans to come back for another business, another job. I was like, well, I'm definitely not in a rush to do that. Like,
Were you
let me
planning
get
to
my
just
mind
like
right.
work in Mexico for a while, or what was the deal with
Yeah,
Mexico?
of
Okay.
course. Of course. I
All
mean,
right.
well, and here was my thing, right, Adrian? And I'm gonna get to the final answer. Well, I'm answering the question while telling the story, right? Coming out of that pandemic, y'all, and I don't know who can relate, but I mean, it just felt like my whole body, my whole adrenal system, like everything was just completely shot because I had gone into like hyper giving and like over delivering and over stimulation mode of trying to help
Mm-hmm.
everyone, heal and get through what was going on around us, George Floyd, like just so many things had happened that I really was just exhausted. I was so tired. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let it all go, right? I'm going to keep the clients that I currently have in my roster, but I'm not promoting my services. I'm not accepting any new clients. And I'm going to go on a vacation and actually work my business from anywhere. That was like a big thing on my vision board was like, you know, I want to be a business owner that has the flexibility, that has a nomadic business that I can do anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And so y'all can imagine if that's my vision, me training people in person was taking me further away from that, right?
Exactly.
And having all these clients on my roster was taking me further away from that.
Mm-hmm. And
So
probably having a schedule that
heck
was
yeah.
not your ideal schedule because you're at the
No.
mercy of when the client wants to meet.
Exactly. And so I just needed a moment. Now the beauty is I was going to see a client who lived in Mexico, right? So she was one of my first international clients. She was the one that was getting married. So it still felt like it was a little business related, but that lasted for about 2 weeks and then we just started having a ball. But um I literally checked off that goal and I got to run my business from abroad. And that was probably the last time that I really was at peace as a business owner. Because then I started a whole other business while running another one concurrently. And 10 for 10 would not recommend that either. But I really came into it with a clear mind that my dreams were possible because I was like already living kind of in my goal list, right? I was already living in the thing that I had wanted to do ever since I started my business. And so that gave me a lot of confidence to be like, okay, let's go back. Let's start this new thing. Let's see where this takes us. Because if we can see that it can take us even further beyond, then it's absolutely going to be worth it. Thank you.
Amazing. So, Ariana, you've given us so much good juju, good nuggets. I love it. And I'm really excited for other service-based business owners and specifically service-based business owners in the health and fitness space to really be inspired by your story and take some of these nuggets and implement it if they haven't already implemented it, like the business coaching and the work from anywhere. Tell us any final thoughts, any final recommendation you have for someone, let's say in your space, in the health and fitness space, to grow their business to six figures a year? What's your advice?
Yeah, so a few things that I would say to grow to six figures. Number one, take an inventory of all the people that you've currently worked with and identify who you've enjoyed working with the most. That is your new target market. Why this is really important, I'm not all the way team niche down, but I am team focused because the more narrow focus you can get with because think about it, your ideal client is your ideal client. It's not the ideal client that people think you should work with, right?
Hmm.
Who do you want to support? Because the more passion you have around that group of people, the easier the content's going to be, the easier it's going to be to attract the right people, and the more focus you can get on all your business efforts. You're going to go to different conferences that have your audience. You're going to go on people's platforms that have your different audiences, like Adrian and I are doing right now. Like, I'm a service provider that serves business owners that also sometimes are service providers. So it makes sense that we collaborate.
Hmm.
It takes a lot of the guesswork out of business ownership so that you can just focus on the thing that you need to do. That's number one. Number two, hire a business coach. We've basically talked about that in today's conversation. But the number one reason why is you don't know what you don't know. And because you don't know what you don't know, you're probably sitting on $1 million idea, but you don't have anyone that's able to cultivate it out of you because you're too afraid to ask for help, which is my third point. Well, number one, you might need to get therapy. Okay, so I'm not going to promote that as another thing, but you might need to. And here's what I learned in my session this week. That's a part of this list of things to scale and grow your business. Is I told my therapist that I was just swimming the wave of entrepreneurship, and eventually it's going to be smooth sailing. Right? We all know this analogy: entrepreneurship. It has its ups and downs. Right? But she asked me something that was so profound. She said, "But where are you at in the wave? Is the wave on top of you? Are you underneath the wave? Are you swimming, trying to go against the current, right? Because wouldn't it be much easier if you got on a boat?" And so, by that, I want you all to think about in this journey, where are your boats, right? Like, struggling through entrepreneurship does not need to be normalized. There are resources of support that are willing and ready to help you. There's business credit, right? So it's not all coming out of pocket. There's coaches who can help you basically. I mean, my coach literally helped me to put a whole program together. How else would I know how to put together a program if I didn't ask for help, right?
Right.
There's partnerships, there's collaborations. Like, there's so many resources out there that, again, get you to sailing smoothly through the wave, right? And even if you're afraid to like do the whole thing, I told my friend this the other day, I was like, girl, just put one foot in the boat. You got one foot that's like, I want to do my thing, but I really need you to put another foot in that boat and get the support that you need, right? So I think those three things, really are what's going to take it from where you're at right now to the next level.
So, so good. So good.
Thank you.
So we're wrapping up. Let the audience know how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, so I am at Ariana Stowe on all platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, of course. You can find me there. My fitness website is arianastowefitness.com. So if you have any fitness related questions or want to see my website, feel free to check that out. But I'm pretty accessible by direct message. So please feel free to DM me. And then my email is info@arianastowefitness.com.
Thank you,
You're
Ariana. This was
welcome.
so great. I can't wait for everybody to hear this. It's amazing. And it's so timely because I just did a video on the benefits of hiring a business coach. And so this is just like even more good juju in relation to that. So it's I love just hearing more real life experience of, other people that have benefited from business coaching and everything that has helped you grow your business. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you and seeing you
Thank
continue to
you.
grow. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And a shameless plug. My new
Sure.
fitness app launches this Friday, which is at the time of this recording, October 14th. So you can head to my Instagram and get on the wait list to sign up for that.
Great. Awesome. 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 So thank you, Ariana. And I
You're
will see you
welcome.
later. See you in the gym. Thanks for tuning in. You made it to the end. We have more amazing episodes coming up just like this one on the Brand and Convert with Adrian and White podcast. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at brandwithamw and learn more about working with me at brandwithamw.com. People always ask me how I scaled my business to 6 figures per year and now work full-time in my purpose. After a decade of being an entrepreneur and launching 4 successful businesses, I know what it takes to get your service-based business to 6 figures per year quickly. Start booking higher-paying clients, automating your processes, and clarifying your messaging in my free training, 5 strategies my clients are using to develop brands, websites, and processes that grow 6-figure businesses. Secure your seat today at training.brandwithamw.com. See you there.